We recently got back from a cruise on the Carnival Vista. What did I think of the ship? And am I done with Carnival? Ahoy travelers, it's Amy here to give you an insight into my latest cruise adventure. Channel regulars will know that I'm a fan of Carnival, and all my cruises except for one have been on their ships. I was super excited for this cruise for a couple of reasons. First off, this was our first time back on Carnival since the shutdown, and we were finally getting to go on a cruise with our friends after it was canceled back in 2020. We had the Vista booked. Can't remember what month it was in 2020, but gone. Shut down, things happen, and we were finally able to get it rebooked, get it scheduled, and go and hang out with a couple of our friends. It was so much fun. Well, we set out on Saturday from Galveston on a 7-day Western Caribbean cruise. And I will continue to say that the worst and most stressful day of cruising is Embarkation Day. I mean, it's also the best day, but it's definitely the most stressful day. And getting to the port to drop off your luggage and park your vehicle is just the worst. I wish there was better signage and these port cities would shut down traffic on at least a few of the streets near the terminal to just cruise traffic. And maybe they do, but if they are, it's not working. It would also be nice if the embarkation information you get from the line had details instructions on what streets to use, depending on where you're coming from, what direction you're coming into the terminal from. All this to say, if you're driving in yourself and it's your first time at port, leave early, be prepared to just go with the flow. Hopefully some of this will be addressed at Galveston at least with their multi-million-dollar terminal enhancements. I did hear there's some stuff going on about the streets, so we'll see. This was the earliest we have ever gotten on board a ship, and it was great. We got great seats on the Lido and just waited for our friends who had later boarding time. And then we were just able to enjoy a rum punch and some people watching. It was so much fun and relaxing, especially after just getting through that gauntlet. If you want to enjoy a less stressful embarkation like we did, I do have a video designed to help you with that, and I'm going to leave that in the description below. I was super excited to finally get to experience an e-muster since our Norwegian cruise in January was during that month or so when NCL had gone back to the full muster prior to getting a lot of negative feedback. Well, when we got on board, went straight to our muster station. I'd already checked the ship maps and knew exactly where we were supposed to head to. We wanted to get that out of the way first thing before we went up to the Lido. Well, there were two issues. One, there wasn't a video on the Hub app to watch prior to checking in like I had expected. And two, we didn't have our ship cards yet since you pick those up at your stateroom after the rooms are ready. How were they going to check us in without our cards? Now, I know it should be possible because you can order drinks prior to getting your card. You just have to show them your boarding pass so they can get your info off of it. Well, when we got to our muster locations, there were crew members outside to check people in, so I just asked them if we could go ahead and do our muster even though we didn't have our sign-in sale cards. Now, I'm not sure if it was a language barrier issue or what, but they didn't seem to understand what I was asking and instead just kept telling me that the cards would be outside our rooms. Finally, we just left and decided to come back after we were able to get our cards, which we did. We were able to check in, and then it was only to find that the reason there was no video to watch is because they really weren't doing an e-muster. Instead, they were doing the muster drill explanation just every few minutes, just repeating it for whoever was in the room at the time. Weird, but it was still a lot better than sitting around or even worse, standing outside near the lifeboats for an hour or so waiting on people to finally show up for the muster drill. Would love to know if this is something that's unique to the Vista or if other Carnival ships are doing the same thing. If you know, drop it in the comments. I guess I'll find out in January what they're doing on the Jubilee at least. Mom and I really enjoy the spa and have even gotten spa passes and spa rooms before. And I know that people like to say that the massages are too expensive, and maybe they are, probably they are. But we live in the middle of nowhere, and quality masseuses just aren't available. Masseuses? Is that how you say that? I don't know. Can't get a quality massage anywhere near where I live. You'd have to drive at least an hour and a half away. And even when I've gotten a massage from there don't even begin to compare to the ones I've gotten on board a Carnival cruise. Those massages just have been the best I've ever had. So I say, treat yourself.
Clothes.
Treat yourself.
Fragrances.
Treat yourself.
Massages.
Treat yourself.
Mimosas.
Treat yourself.
Fine leather goods.
Treat yourself.
It's the best day of the year.
The best day of the year!
We went to the spa giveaway that Carnival ships have on Embarkation Day, and I won one of the $100 gift certificates, which made it a lot more affordable to book myself a massage, especially since the prices have gone up a lot since the last time we had booked a massage. Wow. Carnival has what they call the Hub app, and I've not used a lot, just theirs and NCL's, but it is definitely the best. There's just so much information available on there, but not a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't need. The time, the weather, the schedule for the day are all on there, but there's also a lot more. I like that you can look at the schedule for the entire cruise from day one, so no waiting for your paper copy to show up and just know what's going on the next day. Then you can go in and heart specific things that you might want to do. Not only does the app then send you a reminder that that event is about to start, but you also can then just skim through just those events that you've hearted instead of looking through the whole schedule again. Plus, you can see what events others in your party have hearted. Carnival has a chat feature on the app that's just $5 and allows you to communicate without needing a Wi-Fi package. And it worked so much better than it did like 3 years ago when we were on the cruise. Last time, it sometimes worked and sometimes didn't, but this time it worked fine. I still find that you can usually use iMessenger without the Wi-Fi package if you have an iPhone. But we ended up having to purchase the chat feature because my phone somehow signed out of my Apple account. And because I didn't have Wi-Fi, I couldn't sign back in. And since it was signed out, I couldn't access iMessenger anymore. It just stopped working, obviously. So I finally did end up having to purchase a day of Wi-Fi just to get it fixed. It was driving me crazy, which was very expensive to do on board the ship. You pay more when you do it on ship. And they didn't have their cheaper social media level available to purchase. So I had to purchase one of the higher ones. It was not something I'd like to do again. We like to choose your time dining. It just allows us to be very flexible, and Carnival has made it so easy to book a table through the Hub app. You go in, say you're ready to reserve a slot, attach which people in your party need a table, and whether or not you want to share a table with strangers. You're then going to be given an estimated time until your table is ready, and when it is ready, they will notify you, and you have 10 minutes to check in to the restaurant. We got into a routine of going into the app, saying we were ready, go ahead booking that table, then walking to the Ocean Plaza bar and ordering a drink while we waited for that table to get ready. It was a good place to wait because it was never busy. It was located in the aft of the ship, just 1 or 2 decks above where we would be seated, since our main dining room was on decks 3 and 4 in the aft and Ocean Plaza was on deck 5. It was crazy how many people would be gathered around waiting just outside their restaurant. They would be sitting on the stairs, which blocks them, instead of waiting to show up when they get notified that their table is ready. I'm not sure if they were showing up and checking in instead of using the app, or if they were just not waiting for their table to be ready before they headed into the MDR. I'm not sure. But it's so much better to not go down until your table is ready. We had good seats some nights in the MDR and less desirable ones on other nights, but at least you don't get stuck in the same bad location for the entire cruise. I do wish that Carnival would add a spot on their app where you could recommend a certain section or specific wait staff, though. We had one wait staff group that was amazing, and I would have loved to have requested them for the rest of the cruise. That is one thing that was lost when they switched to reserving your table in the app, because used to you could go up to a hostess and say, I'm ready to check in. Can I get a table near a window? Can I get a table with this specific server? That's just gone. The other thing I would like to see added to the app would be what the local time is. The app shows ship time, which you need to know, but it would also be nice to see what the local time is, since the companies that we booked our excursions through often use local time. So that is one thing that I wish that would have been available. I'm often used to spending a lot of time in the Atrium, either doing trivia or just as a comfortable place to hang out. But the Vista's Atrium didn't have the stage area that I'm used to with lots of seating around it. So they didn't have many events there, although they did have trivia there a few times. I didn't go, so I didn't see how they managed that. Often you would find a group of violinists set up on a small stage that was above the atrium, and they were very good. We did enjoy stopping by and occasionally listening to them. Trivia is one of my favorite things to do on a sea day. Even if I don't always think I know enough to win, I still enjoy the attempt. We went to one group trivia even where you had to spin a wheel and get a category. Our group won and everyone got a whale tail medallion, my first. We also attempted some Lord of the Rings trivia. Now, I used to be pretty knowledgeable, and I even have a Lord of the Rings edition of Trivial Pursuit. But it's been a while since I've read the books or even sat down and watched the movies all the way through. So I didn't do so well. But my friend came in second with 19 out of 20. I still can't believe that someone got all 20 questions, but apparently this guy had just finished reading the books all the way through for the 6th time. I've mentioned before that one of my favorite evening activities is to watch the dive-in movies, but it was so hot outside to the point where it was just miserable. So while I will usually watch a movie, even if it isn't something I'm super interested in, this time I just couldn't do it. One of my friends and I did suffer through the heat to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We both really wanted to watch it. But it wasn't until that last night on our way back that it was actually cool enough that I went out and I watched another movie. One thing I learned from this trip is that I will not be sailing to the Caribbean again in September. I think I will start looking at Canada, New England, and Alaska if I plan on booking a cruise at the end of the summer. Since I wasn't spending most of my evenings watching movies, I did get to experience some things I haven't in a while, like karaoke. It really is a lot of fun if the venue is right. You just don't know what you're going to get into until the person starts singing. There were really good singers, there was one lady who kept singing Stevie Nicks songs, and she sounded just like her. That woman knew what songs fit her voice. Then there are always some that are just painful to listen to, but it's also a little bit funny at the same time. Do they not know that they're bad? Do they not care? Are they drunk? Maybe a little of each. We did enjoy it more when it was hosted in the Ocean Plaza versus in the Red Frog pub. The music was already a little too loud, but in the pub you had people there that weren't there to pay attention to the karaoke, so they were shouting over it. And while they did have one person I saw going around and getting drink orders, she never came over to our table, and after about 30 minutes or so, I had to go to the bar and get my drink, which is fine. But it seemed like if that was going to be a thing, that they were going to have somebody going around and getting drink orders and bringing their drinks to them, they should have had more than just one poor, overworked woman doing it. Another thing Mom and I never miss on our Carnival cruises is the Love and Marriage show. If you've never been, it's hosted by the cruise director, and there are 3 couples that are chosen, usually the most recently married couple in the room, the longest married couple in the room, then a 3rd couple is chosen that's somewhere in the middle. The couples sit back to back and have to answer questions about each other that are often very suggestive. So the show isn't really for kids. The better your cruise director, the better the show, because they do a lot to keep the audience laughing with their observations and comments about the couples and their answers. Our cabin was located on the Lido deck at the front of the ship, which meant a lot of stairs anytime we were going to the main dining room, the theater, atrium, or any of the other areas located on decks 3 through 5. A lot of stuff's in that area. I do enjoy being on the Lido or very close to it though, because it's just so quick to go and grab a drink or a snack, and so much happens on the Lido. Plus, it's a good location for anyone that's spending a lot of time in the Serenity Lounge, like my mom likes to do. I did try to take the stairs whenever possible. We even walked up the stairs when we came in from port, which meant 10 flights, just to avoid the elevators. The only time I would grab the elevator instead is right after a big evening meal, especially when I was dressed up for elegant night. I just didn't feel like hiking up 7 flights on a full stomach. All those stairs and all that walking did mean that I didn't gain any weight despite eating just about whatever I wanted. Plus, all those sugary cocktails I drank. It seems like people either love or hate the Vista-Class ships. I even had a colleague who's an avid Carnival cruiser tell me that they didn't think that I would like the Vista-Class ships, and he was sure I'd find out why when I sailed on her. However, I didn't find there to be a lot of difference in the layout from the ships I've been on before. In fact, having a general idea of the ship's layout really helped me quickly figure out how to navigate the ship, because it was familiar to me. One thing I liked about the Vista that the Dream doesn't have, the Dream is still my favorite ship, is that we didn't have to go through the casino to get to our dining room. Usually the casino is very smoky. I just don't care to do that. There are ways to avoid it on the Dream as well, but it was so much easier to avoid on the Vista. I know that the LED funnel is one of the big statement pieces of the Vista-Class ships, but I wasn't really that impressed by it after seeing it a few times. That doesn't mean we didn't get our picture taken in front of it, though, because we did. I will have to admit that it was day 5 or 6 before I realized that there are actually 2 funnels on the ship. I had been passing by both multiple times a day when I would cross deck 5 from the front to the aft, but it just didn't really register to me. There is the main funnel that goes all the way from the Atrium bar on deck 3 to up to deck 5. And then there's a smaller one that begins in the middle of the casino on deck 4 and goes to deck 5. I honestly can't believe how many times I had passed by the smaller one without really registering it. Our cruise had 3 sea days and 3 port days. We stopped in Roatan, Belize, and Cozumel. All of these places I've visited before. This is my ideal sea day to port day ratio. Port days are fun, and they're hectic and often tiring, so having plenty of sea days adds that needed relaxation to my vacation. Let me know in the comments whether you prefer sea days or port days and why. I think I like them equally, and it's why I love cruising so much. You get to have relaxing days, enjoying all that the ship has to offer, while also getting to experience areas of the world that you may not get to visit otherwise. While it was fun to be back on Carnival, I'm also really looking forward to cruising on other lines and somewhere besides the Western Caribbean. Been doing a lot of those. However, before we do that, we have our Carnival Jubilee cruise in January. I can't wait to experience everything one of Carnival's XL class ships has to offer. Want to stick around and check out this video with tips on budget cruising, and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.